Where did Cain get his wife? Every person who has read the first few chapters of the Bible carefully has asked this question. The answer is not as elusive as skeptics make it seem. It's quite simple. Not only will we learn the answer in this video, but we will also learn a valuable lesson for our Bible study along the way. Attention Sunday School students! Let's review the first 4 chapters of the Bible. The first people God created were Adam and Eve. They had 2 sons, Cain and Abel, and then Cain got mad at Abel and killed him, so Cain had to become a fugitive. But Cain was concerned that anyone who finds me will kill me, Genesis 4 verse 14, and Cain went out from the presence of the Lord and dwelt in the land of Nod on the east of Eden. And Cain knew his wife, and she conceived and bore Enoch, verses 16 and 17. After that, Adam and Eve had another son named Seth, who also found a lady and had children with her. Hold up. If Adam, Eve, and Cain were the only 3 people on earth, who in the world was Cain afraid of killing him, and who did he marry? This has been a perennial stumper. Where did Cain get his wife? It would seem we are left with only 2 options. Either the Bible has a terrible plot hole, which atheists would consider a win for them, or God must have made different people groups besides the family of Adam and Eve. Therefore, the creation account cannot be taken literally, and in some cases, atheists would consider that a win as well. There's actually a third option staring us in the face. But in order to see it, we need to strip away our biases and assumptions. First, let's see how the second option is not viable. God did not create other people groups besides Adam and Eve. As Genesis 3 verse 20 says, "And Adam called his wife's name Eve, because she was the mother of all living." According to the Bible, all humanity came from Eve and Adam. See also Acts 17 verse 26. Yet doesn't the Bible claim that Cain found someone in the land of Nod to marry? Therefore the Bible is contradictory, right? Only if you allow your assumptions to navigate your study. Let's identify some assumptions we may have about the Genesis account. When we see "where did Cain get his wife" as a stumper question, it's because we are assuming that Cain and Abel were the only children of Adam and Eve when Cain killed his brother. The Bible does not say that. For all we know, Cain and Abel had many siblings when Cain committed murder. We are assuming that Cain and Abel were the first children Adam and Eve had. The Bible does not say that. It's possible Cain and Abel had many older siblings by the time Genesis 4 opens up. We are assuming that Cain found his wife in the land of Nod. The Bible does not say that. He may have been married with children and grandchildren when he murdered his brother. The Bible also does not say Enoch was Cain's firstborn. There have been many times my assumptions have blinded me to the truth. Also, enemies of the Scripture will sometimes bake assumptions into their questions to make it easier for them to confuse you and win an argument. One day, my good friend Jeff told me that he has a son named James, but I know for a fact that he has a son named Jacob. Jeff was clearly lying to me. Therefore, you should never believe anything that Jeff says. To which you say, really? In this case, it's clear for you to see the problem with jumping to conclusions based on assumptions. But are you just as careful when people do that to Scripture? Someone says, the Bible claims Cain was a son of the first 2 people, Adam and Eve. The Bible also says Cain interacted with people on earth other than his parents. Therefore, the Bible is untrustworthy. Really? Picture what the world was like when Cain killed Abel. If you're like me, you may be inclined to believe that there were only 4 people on earth at the time. And then Cain went to Nod, and that's where he found his wife. Again, not so fast. Cain was likely already married when he left home. But where did his wife come from? Who did he marry? He married his sister or his niece. Cain, Abel, and Seth were not the only children Adam and Eve had. So why don't we know the details of all the other siblings? It's simply that God saw that it was important that Bible readers knew about those three specifically. Genesis 5 verse 4 says, "After he begot Seth, the days of Adam were 800 years, and he had sons and daughters. So all the days that Adam lived were 930 years, and he died." When Adam and Eve were created, God told them to be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth. Genesis 1 verse 28. Adam was 130 years old when he had Seth. If Adam and Eve were able to produce children from the beginning and the commandment was for them to fill the earth, it's reasonable to conclude that they had many more than 3 children during those 130 years. Plus, their children would have also been responsible for being fruitful and multiplying to fill the earth. The first people on earth would have procreated with their own family members. Yes, that sounds weird and icky to us, as it should. However, the first family did not have the mutations in the genome that we have today. In fact, it wasn't until thousands of years later, when God created the covenant with Israel through Moses, that incest was officially off limits. Questions are what drive our Bible study. God's not afraid of our questions, yet as Bible students and teachers, we sometimes are afraid of questions we cannot answer. First, when you feel stumped, ask, what assumptions may be getting in the way? And second, remember this, although there are questions we should be asking, and the Bible gives us answers to those questions, the Bible was not written to satisfy our curiosity. Nor does the Bible include every detail. If it did, how big would the Bible be? Look at Genesis 4, verse 2. "Then she, Eve, bore again, this time his brother Abel. Now Abel was a keeper of sheep, but Cain was a tiller of the ground." How many years are packed into this one verse? Abel is born, and then he's a keeper of sheep. How old was he when he started shepherding? What was his favorite food? Why was he a shepherd and Cain a farmer? When we study the Bible, we will often come across questions that the Bible does not specifically address. In many cases, we can still come to a proper conclusion, like the question of Cain's wife. Sometimes we won't, and that's okay. But be careful not to assume the answer if the Bible has nothing to say on a matter. And be careful about letting your or someone else's assumptions back you into a corner. Because of some people's bad assumptions, the question of Cain's wife has been weaponized against believers. Yet, when we look closer at the Bible and we remove the veil of assumption, we realize that the answer has been staring at us in the face. Cain married his sister or niece. Now, here's another claim that is full of assumptions. Have you ever heard someone claim that the thief on the cross wasn't baptized? If so, learn how presumptuous that claim is in this video.